Welcome to Taqueando. I'm your host, Bill Esparza, and this week we are speaking with Chef Edgar Núñez, chef owner and award-winning Sud 777, located in Jardines de Pedregal, which has one Michelin star. His restaurant is both listed on the world's 50 best and Latin America's 50 best. Chef Edgar also has a more casual spot called Comedor Jacinta in Polanco and Maria Dolores in Cancun. He's an avid motorcyclist, wine collector, gym goer, father, a vinyl enthusiast, and has an active social media presence on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. So, furthermore, Chef Edgar is really part of this young generation of chefs in Mexico that came out of Noma's kitchens. Noma had a lot of stagiaires from Mexico. So he cooked at Noma in 2006, and this was an experience that changed his perspective. And he went straight from there to opening Sud 777 in 2008. And this was really the beginning of the second wave of modern Mexican chefs that came after the Enrique Olvera generation, Guillermo Gonzalez, that included Diego Hernandez, Jorge Vallejo, Pablo Salas, Eduardo Garcia, Elena Regadas, and Paco Ruano, among others. But first, at Taqueando, eating antojitos is a way of life from the world's most celebrated dining rooms to the gritty stands and storied market stalls that preserve culture. Life is short, so we must eat well, and here we are with this week's Antojitos Rundown. I had another quick trip to Mexico City, and I was there for New Year's Eve, which was really amazing. And I got to go back to Rosetta, and I had not been in a couple of years. So I really, really enjoyed my recent dinner at Rosetta. I think there was a period where they had gone to a lot of vegetable centric things that I liked, but I didn't love it as much as I, enjoyed this last visit, which was more of a return to proteins using their lovely style of cooking. I was able to get the last service of the year at Rosetta. They closed for New Year's Eve and they were closed for New Year's Day. So this was the 30th. And I had one of my favorite shellfish in all of Mexico, the Cayo Margarita. It's one I'm used to having in Baja California, but they had it at Rosetta in a very different presentation, of course, very beautiful with some borage flowers, but it was like a guava, a really light acid, a sweet mixture of guava and some other ingredients in the clam that was a nice, a different take on the Cayo Margarita. Lovely, lovely way to start the meal. Some other highlights were the lengua, a cured thin beef tongue in a parsley sauce with some pickled elements that was just wonderful. One of my favorite things that I've had there in a while was a chile atole, which is a savory corn-based dish that is indigenous in origin, but she had some sea urchin in there. Chef Elena Regadas put sea urchin on it. I loved that dish. I always try a pasta there, and this pasta had sweet potato inside of it and salsa macha in this cream sauce. So I feel also Rosetta is using more Mexican ingredients across the board. They've always had interesting uses of Mexican ingredients at the restaurant, but I love it that it's sort of across the board this time. So definitely changing things up. The mole de rosas, a classic red mole made with beets, another amazing dish. And they were able to do some half orders for me, so I got to try a lot of things. Absolutely loved, and can't wait to go back to Rosetta. The meal ended. The desserts are always amazing there, and she had a tamarind nicuatole. Nicuatole is an indigenous dessert made of corn. It's corn based, but she had some tamarind in there that was just lovely. And for new restaurants, I had never been to Gaba. Gaba is by Chef Victor Ortiz, who used to be at Bestia. So those of you who have followed his story in Mexico City, he has a restaurant in Roma Norte that's really blowing up, and it's been very popular. It's got a great wine list, and he's got a menu that it's full of Mexican ingredients, but it really is inspired by Bestia. in the sense that Chef Victor told me that Chef Ori Menashe is his mentor. So Ori's flavors are such layers of things where you have a lot of work in the dishes and things are layered and really unconventional at times. There are traditional dishes or combinations that get layered by intense flavors. Now, the meal started out with an obvious tribute to Bestia with a chicken liver, very ornate chicken liver plate with some house-made bread. And in the center, the sweet element and the acid element was pickled hibiscus, a great dish. So many wonderful dishes at this place. A vegetable-based dish, a chayote, that again had lots of layers of flavors on it. It was a finely shaved chayote, and that was the main ingredient in the dish. Again, using Mexican ingredients with a modern presentation and a lot of bestia, you know? The other dish I really loved was a thin sort of canopy of thin sliced beets, and under were tripe and queso ocosingo from, it's a special cheese from Chiapas. So, wonderful Mexican ingredients throughout. Again, from my first visit to Gaba, I highly recommend that restaurant. And it's a hot spot too. It's a fun place. It's got a great vibe. There's only, I think, 4 or 6 seats at the chef's table, so you want to be sure and reserve that, and you're in for a special meal. I had been really skeptical about a lot of the newer Mexican restaurants, and because they are moving away from Mexican dishes and Mexican ingredients in many cases, but was a place that really spoke to me still. I'm like, okay, this is something I don't know, but I'm very curious about the chef and what he's doing coming out of Bestia. And I'm also, I liked what I saw on the menu. So highly recommended. Gaba. All right. And now, without further ado, vamos a taquear. Welcome to the podcast, Chef.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
And of course, I've been I've been going to your restaurant for many years. I can't remember the first time I went, but I'm always sending people there. It's a harder restaurant to get to. It's a little out of the way.
Yeah, because it's a little bit far from the main, spots of Mexico City. Because I'm a little bit on the outside of the city.
Right. Now, I always just try to get a late reservation and do it that way. That's my tip. Do you have any other tips
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
people that want to go to your restaurant that are thinking, oh, it's a little too
Yeah,
far?
probably at lunch it's gonna be easier. If you come at lunch, so it's gonna be easier and way fast.
Okay. So lunchtime, and you can do the 12, it's a 12-course tasting menu, right?
Yes, 12, 14 depends on my mood.
Right. Okay. So yeah, so they can do the tasting menu, the same deal at
Yeah,
lunch. Okay, so
yeah,
there you
yeah,
go. I'd say either do that or get a late reservation. I usually try to
yes,
go for 10 p.m. or something and close the place out.
yeah.
So I'm really impressed of all the chefs out there. There are some that have been around that obviously Enrique Vera at this point and Benito Molina, they've been around a little longer. They have this huge following, but you really have a whole different game on social media, and you interact with people and you give your opinions and you weigh in on a lot of different conversations, which I think is really wonderful and refreshing. My first question to you is, I read, of course, a recent post you did. So there was all this outrage directed at Richard Hart and Green Rhino, the British baker and owner of the Mexico City bakery, who called Mexican bolillos ugly
Yeah.
and said that Mexico has no culture of bread. So I want to say the same day, or on December 18th, 2025, you wrote on Twitter, I don't want to give an opinion on this controversy of bread, but here we are. And to affirm and say that Mexico doesn't have a culture of bread reveals ignorance that defies reality. I'm obviously, I translated your quote. So I thought your whole response, it was quite lengthy, was thoughtful while precisely defining when it comes to bread culture in Mexico. So can you share your thoughts from this epic tweet series of tweets?
Yeah, I believe that. You know how social media works. They sometimes they cut some stuff to make it a little bit more controversial. And here in Mexico, there's like a few things that you can, as a foreigner, you can go into. So you can speak badly about Mexican food or La Virgen de Guadalupe, even the national Mexican team of soccer that sucks. But as a Mexican, it's the only thing that you can say. So you can, as a foreigner, it's very difficult to say something about our culture, because most of the people they don't understand how we are. And actually he has some points. He has he do quite good things about the flour and stuff like that, but probably the people they don't understand that here in Latin America we have like a different standards. And actually for a lot of a long time there's like European measurement about how the things they need to be and how does they need. So if you don't make it like that, you are wrong. But they don't understand our culture and our thing. We aren't a bread country because we have tortillas. So that's for example, if I go to London and say that the tortillas here in London sucks, but
Yeah,
it's like normal. But because they are not a corn country. They don't use tortillas. So say that we didn't have a bread culture. It's very, how can I say this, it's very challenging for a country to say that. So even if you don't know all the different countries that we involve Mexico. We have more than 69 different cultures here in Mexico. So we see the things a little bit different each other, and we use the bread for different things. They in Europe they have these weathers that they need to make like a different kind of bread. So for starting, you need to know that our nature and our environment isn't harder as European weather. So we don't need to eat that kind of breath. So when you go to a country, you need to understand anthropologic and social culture and a lot of things that you need to understand how does they eat, how does they feel. You need to understand a lot of things when you go to a different country with these differences between England and Mexico. So if you want to find the same things as your home, you're gonna be wrong, and then you're gonna be disappointed because the people doesn't understand that there's a different ways of seeing. We have like different even astronomic things of how does we see
yeah,
the things here in Mexico. We are a little more believers of other things that most of the people they don't understand. We have this mixture of cultures that we believe in a lot of things. Also their religion. So it's
yeah,
very complicated to understand this. Sometimes I don't even understand us. So uh, I don't know why we do some things that we still doing. But
right.
we are very. That's why Mexicans, we are all noted all around the world in a good things instead of a lot of countries that they know their countries for bad things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think, I love what you were saying about, again, how we don't have to measure ourselves against European culture. And that's not what people should be looking for when they come to Mexico. They should be looking for what Mexico has. And, and for me, and I think about, a really fine European bakery, and it's really nice, and I can enjoy a pastry or a baked good. But in Mexico, we are giving our bread to our ancestors.
Yeah.
And to me that's like, whoa, isn't that culture? And the rituals of the way people, like, where you're from in Ciudad de Mexico, where they're eating tortas, and things in tortas all day long, everything in Bolillo.
Yeah.
That to me is culture.
Actually, we call them Mexico City Ciudad Bolillo, you know?
Right, exactly. And so this whole system runs on not just a fine pastry, but a sustaining piece of bread that gets you through the workday.
You know, it's very hard to say why it's like fine and not fine, you know? So
Right.
I don't never understand. It's like in fine herbs, you know? Which one are the the I always make this joke in Spanish, no? Finas hierbas, and I prefer to use like the hierbas nacas, you know? So the ugly herbs, you know? Because I don't know
Right.
who baptized like like these kind of words with something that has a little bit more work than other, but one it's for fine people, you know, for
Yeah.
another kind of people, you know. So that's why I love Mexican food, because Mexican food, there the richest guy eat a mole and the poorest guy eat a mole, you know. So that's the beauty of the Mexican food, that the Mexican food is the only thing that make like all the same, you know. So because we
Sure.
the richest and the poorest, they almost eat the same, you know. Maybe they change some things, instead of guajolote, they, I don't know, they only put the mole, or you know, so they only change like, but the 80% or the heart of the Mexican food, it's for everyone, you know. So there's only like one
Yeah.
dish that it's for rich people, like the chile nogada, because it's very expensive, and it's like the one dish in Mexican gastronomy who are made it by a king, for the emperor of Mexico. It's like a story that they the monks do it for this emperor, and they use the expensive things of making the dish, you know. But
Right.
there's probably the only dish that we have in Mexican food that it's only for rich people. But the 90.90% of the food, it's eatable for everyone, you know. So you can see in a puesto de tacos, you can see a very rich guy eating a taco with a gardener in around them, you know. So that's the beauty of Mexican food.
Yeah. It's very democratic,
Yeah,
the cuisine.
yeah, yeah,
No, yeah, I mean, I guess when I'm saying, that's their ideal, that if you're not using these flours and doing these steps, but when I'm in Jalisco or Ciudad de Mexico and I'm eating tortas and I'm eating bread with my meals, I'm having in the north bread with menudo. I'm enjoying that, and it tastes great. And you could tell me that it's not the best flour, or it is. It doesn't even matter. I know it
no, no,
tastes
it
great.
depends on the food depends on how you grew, you know. So it depends on where you come from. So you can say that one, you know, like you can say that this is better than the other, you know.
Yes.
It's about the context, it's about everything, you know. So the weather doesn't need that kind of fermentation for the bread, you know, because our food is very powerful. So only you need something to embrace the guisado, or the thing that you're gonna put on the torta, or in the anything, you know. So it's about with the eyes that you see the things that you are gonna try, you know. But you can see with the same eyes everything, because you're gonna be very disappointed, you know.
Right. No. Again, I really love what you said, because I agree 100%. It's a weird conversation to be having, like, for this guy to just come in and start say something really ignorant. And you pointed out that he obviously had not traveled all over the country, and hadn't really looked at the uh, bakery traditions with an open mind, and really to think about the whole cuisine, on how salsas play, and other ingredients play into how we eat bread.
It's it's very hard, because it's, if I say that McDonald's, it's a shitty place, you know. Well, depends on the eyes that you look McDonald's, you know. So it's the perfect brand
Yeah.
for a very specific market. You know, it's like the perfect. Actually, there's like an economic way of measuring the economy of different countries. So, but if I don't like it, I don't have the balls to say that they are making something wrong. You know, you can say that they do
Yeah.
everything you can say about the industrial stuff, and you can say everything about it. You can speak about technical stuff, but you can't speak about the people who takes McDonald's. They don't have a culture, you know, a burger culture. You know,
Right.
it was very stupid comment because probably he doesn't understand that everything it depends on the eyes that you see, and if you're gonna say something about the culture of one country, you really need to know the country to understand why we eat as we eat, you know.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you give me on one hand a tecolota, on the other hand a croissant, I kind of prefer the tecolota.
Yeah, because you are a Latin, you know, you have a Latin baggage, and then you have like actually also the food has like memories and has genetic inside, and there's a lot of things that you need to
Yeah.
involve in a one dish, you know, and in our preferences. So
Right.
you can say that we don't have a culture because we don't eat the bread as they eat in England, you know. So it's like it's very silly to say that if they don't make the things that I'm used to, they are bad, you know.
Right. So why do you think that Mexican cuisine has to endure, always has to endure these comparisons and foreign origin stories? And when we talk about European cuisine, we don't ever mention the Latin or Mexican roots. And when they're doing dishes with beans and tomatoes and chiles and potatoes, chocolate, it goes on and on. Sweet peppers. They don't ever have to acknowledge that, but we're always having to have these comparisons.
Yeah, but there's no bad, you know. I don't like nachos, and I don't like fajitas, and I don't like a lot of things that Tex-Mex food they are doing that. But I understand that they are trying to replace one thing for another, you know. So they are trying to make this genetic stuff, this remembers about their origins
Sure.
in another country, but they can't find the ingredients, so they need to improvise with the things that they can get. So,
Yeah. No, I'm more talking about like a dish like cassoulet, which obviously has beans, and European dishes that, Italian dishes with tomatoes in it. Uh, Pizza Napolitana has tomatoes,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but they don't call it a Mexican inspired dish or a Peruvian inspired dish.
Yeah, you know, most of the people, I don't want to hear a little bit bad, but the people, they don't. Um, they don't are interested in the ingredients, you know. They are not interested. If you speak with a French and you talk about cassoulet, and you say that the beans that you are using in this traditional French dish, most of the things come from Mexico, you know. uh, because the people, they also the Mexican food, you know, a taco, if we don't have like people come from Europe and people from Asia, probably the taco, they don't even exist, you know, because all the things that we put in a taco, most of the things that we use in a taco, they are not from Mexico, you know. So and if you say this to the people, they are like, what? Yeah, yeah. Actually, the only thing that you are using here in Mexico for the taco al pastor is the tortilla, you know, because all of the other things, they come from all over parts of the world, you know, the lime,
Yeah,
the onion, the cilantro,
the adobo
el
would be.
adobo, la carne, you know. So there, 90% of the taco al pastor is not from Mexico, you know. So even the technique is not from Mexico. So most of the people, they have seen all their life one thing, and then they believe that the tomato it's from that garden, you know. So the people, they never try to, they don't have to, but they never have this kind of question of the origin of the things,
Right.
actually right now I was reading that Mexico given to the world more than 68 different ingredients that they are using in the kitchens right now,
Exactly.
but the people, they never stop and thinking about, and they don't need to, it's like very egocentric as a Mexican to
Yeah. Well, I agree that they don't need to, but I don't like that we still have to. You know what I mean? There's still a lot of questions coming our way. I agree that everybody has their cuisine, no matter what, even ingredients have moved around. But I'm always amazed that Spanish, French, Italian chefs don't have to mention these, and they shouldn't. But a lot of times when people talk about Mexico, they want to talk about these other influences.
Yeah, even the chefs, they don't really know about the things. I remember when I was my first jobs in the kitchen, I I knew the vanilla in Spain. I never saw a vanilla. How do you say, like a vaina de vainilla? I haven't seen her here in Mexico. Because all the vanilla,
The
the
beans,
beans,
the vanilla
yeah,
beans.
yeah, all the vanilla goes out from Mexico, because they don't use it here in Mexico. We know the vanilla,
Right.
but we are, because it was very expensive. It's very expensive right now, but we used to use like a liquid stuff with this artificial flavor of vanilla.
Yeah, the
The
extract,
extract.
vanilla
And the
extract.
first time that I saw a vanilla, I had like 16 years old, and I was like, "What?" And I saw like the beans, and for me it was like very, very, like wow, So I never have seen a vanilla beans in my life, and and then I started thinking about all the things that Mexico gives to the world, and then I start reaching out. How can I make my own cuisine with the things that we have here in Mexico?
Right. Yeah, this has been a tendency in your generation. Well, modern Mexican cuisine is very young still,
Yeah, yeah.
and many of you have done this very thing of like, oh my gosh, we have these ingredients here. We should be using them in our kitchens. And speaking of which, I really want to talk about your trajectory at Sud 777, which has moved to a more vegetable centric tasting menu over the years. And I remember when it was more following the tradition, I think, of using antojitos and traditional Mexican dishes in a modern context. But, you've moved to this very different philosophy in your kitchen. And I think it's amazing, but I'd like you to tell me, what made you change course?
Well, when I started the restaurant, I was like 25 or 26 years ago. So I was very young and I was very ignorant. I don't really know a lot of things that I know right now. So I was like very afraid of doing something that the people, they don't like it. And actually, I was very unmature because I don't construct my mind. I haven't constructed my personality. At 25 or 26 years, it's very difficult that you have like a very it's very funny, but because when you see like books of people, how does I be a billionaire, never knows how you make the things, the things are start coming, and then you try to move to one way, and listen to your heart and your feelings, and that's how I started, so I started with a more European restaurant because I was afraid of losing this kind of money, of these investments, and people and these friends and stuff like that. So I started making like onion soup, like even clam chowder. So there was like a mix of things that I believe that I really know how to make it. So in the past years, so I starting like there's here in Mexico comida corrida, so it's like a tasting menu, but for a very
Yes.
cheap tasting menu in the fondas, So I started making like comidas corridas with vegetables because my mom she's vegetarian. So when I realized that if I want to be successful in this industry, I need to be a little bit different of the other peoples that they are, other guys that they are doing like almost the same stuff, So I start
Yeah.
making like this. I have my regular menu and my uh, prix fix tasting menu comida corrida, 3 or 4
Yeah.
courses, with the things that I start because the 90% of the restaurant they copy recipes, So a pizza it's a copy of you can make your own pizza, but the pizza it's a concept, So someone invented that concept, and then you can make the best pizza in the world, but it's a copy of the original one, So the 99% of the restaurants they copy food, they can make their own
Yeah.
touch or So if I made a mole, probably also mole it's a concept, So it's very hard to invent concepts, So I haven't invented one concept in my life. So I try to move these concepts, and then I start making like moles with vegetables, because they are not making with
Yes.
the original moles are made with chiles and with a lot of things. So I realized, and then I started making. I'm gonna change the menu, the tasting menu the next week, and I made a seaweed mole, only with seaweeds, and then I start
Yeah.
looking in these kind of concepts, and then I try to make my own way of how does I see the Mexican food, So more into the vegetables, and then I understand that if I want to be a little bit different of the other chefs, I need to find like a different concept. And I was looking in my background, and I remember with my mom having like meals and stuff like that only with vegetables, And then I started making the food with vegetables, and 15 years ago. So right now there's very into the restaurants, but I tried. I start making this because of my mom,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know what you're saying. There is this tendency in the modern Mexican restaurants to do antojitos in a with fine dining presentation. So infladitas, tetelas,
I never do that.
tlacoyos, right? And or taking dishes like doing like a mole poblano, but with a
Presentation, yeah,
modern
yeah, yeah.
arrangement, deconstruction. And you do have some of that. I mean, there are some thematic dishes like you do the bacalao a la vizcaína is a traditional dish that's popular. That's from Spain, but it's popular in Mexico. But yes, some of your dishes they don't have a something that you can identify them by. They're just vegetables. And I like that you're also being challenging about it. You're not just going for usual combinations of flavors.
Yeah, my philosophy it's like use like maximum 4 ingredients in one dish, So I try to construct the flavors with a few things, So it's the other side of the mole. So the mole has more than 25 different kinds of ingredients, and that's why I always say that the Mexicans are like the mole, because the half of the ingredients of the mole are from Mexico, and the other half of ingredients came from Asia, Europe, and and then this mixture makes the mole. So this mixture makes the Mexicans. So my moles they don't have that uh, number of ingredients. So I try to make it a little bit more into the thing, So mole
Yeah,
at the end, mole means sauce. So that's why guacamole. It's in Spanish, it's guacamole. It's salsa de aguacate, So
yeah,
guacamole means avocado sauce. So in if you use the words, that's the meaning of guacamole. So mole, it's a sauce. So you can make, well, it's like adobo, pepianes, and moles. The moles are the ingredients are more into the dried chiles. The adobos are for marination stuff with a lot of vinegar,
Yes.
and pepians are the moles with the nuts.
Pumpkin seeds.
So that's
Yeah, or nuts, any
so
kind of
that's the
nuts, right?
difference in all of this. And also the salsas depends on the ingredients, because if you make a salsa verde, you only need like 3 or 4 ingredients, but depends on how you cook the ingredients, or you don't cook the ingredients, the flavor change a lot. So if you only blend the ingredients, you have salsa verde, but fresh salsa verde who tastes different if you boil the ingredients and then you blend it. So depends that's why I always say that the order of factors in the kitchen makes a different product. So there's like a different. If you I try to explain that you really need to know the anthropologic stuff if you want to make a dish. You need to know about even history, because you can make like a good dish if you don't know a lot of. It could be also like something that stops you, because the tradition here in Mexico is very strong. So when I start making like this modern Mexican food, a lot of people criticize me because they say that I don't make like Mexican food. So I
Right.
I invented my this Mexican ingredient plus Mexican chef means Mexican food. So
Right.
so no one has like the right to say that I'm not doing Mexican food, because I'm Mexican. I'm using Mexican ingredients, and for me that's Mexican food. There's no traditional Mexican food, but I'm making Mexican food. And also the traditional food, Mexican food, they don't have more than 200 or 300 years. The people believe that we came from Asian recipes and stuff like that, but no. The Mexican food, they are built it 300 years ago. But the things that I told you, the people doesn't read, the people doesn't understand, the people, they don't try to find out why a very traditional Mexican dish, the half of ingredients are from other parts of the world, and we received them when the conquerors arrived to Mexico. So it's very the food is very complicated.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, there is indigenous cuisine, but there is also dishes that have become popular in during this period.
Yeah, but there's only like a few things that we um, they still are like the indigenous used to do.
Yeah.
Probably only the tortilla, but they don't they don't even use the tortilla as a taco. The Spanish conquerors, when they arrived, they put something inside the tortilla and then they build a taco. So there's history. I don't invent that. So because the tortilla was more like a fork, or like a something to grab the food, not for making a taco or to put things inside of a taco. So there's a lot of things that there's a lot of myths, and there's a lot of lies also. And I believe that a lot of people, they don't want to realize that probably if the people from outside, they didn't come, probably we didn't have the food that we have right now.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, a certain amount of that's the case for everywhere. Well, no, that's an interesting take on that, and yeah, and obviously you're very well read and researched when it comes to Mexican cuisine. But yeah, the what you're doing, I get it because I feel like I've been watching your restaurant for a long time, going to your restaurant for a long time, and there is a recent discussion there is a recent discussion because a lot of chefs are moving away from Mexican ingredients, but you are actually using Mexican ingredients in your dishes. It just doesn't look like what you're seeing in lots of other modern Mexican restaurants, like you're saying.
Yeah, I only use things that I know all the ingredients came from. I don't use anything that haven't been raised
Sure.
and farmed and fishing or killing or anything outside of Mexico. So I only move on the things that I have.
Right.
I don't try to bring caviar to my restaurant. I don't want to have truffle on my dishes. I don't like to. Probably I use it just for fun, just for
Right.
one, just for how you combine like truffle with cuitlacoche and these like kind of experiments that probably they don't invented a dish because these ingredients they don't even know each other, but but if you combine like some stuff with other stuff, could be a very good result, So also like the things that Bruno Verjus do with the caviar with and chocolate, it's amazing. So I do like ice cream, chocolate ice cream with caviar for my daughters, and she loves them, And there's some ingredients that they need to know each other just for fun, just for
Yeah.
for just for make the experiment of what happened with the Italian stuff and the Mexican corn, and and this experiment Frankenstein stuff.
Yeah, and again, I really, for the listeners, I really encourage you to go to Sud 777. It's one of the restaurants that I feel like a lot of people, because they're staying in Roma, they're staying in Condesa, and maybe they go to Polanco for Quintonil and Puyol, but they're not really going that far. And I always mention, have you thought of this one? Sometimes they have it on their list. Sometimes they don't think about it because it's far. But I really recommend it. You are one of the oldest modern Mexican restaurants at this point.
Yeah, I opened it like 18 years
Yeah,
ago.
18 years.
Yeah, 18. Yes.
And so when you opened, there were only a few places. There was Pangea, there was Puyol, there was
Hmm.
uh, Benito with Manzanilla. You
Manzanilla.
had
Yes. Yeah,
Alejandro
probably
Ruiz,
just a few.
and Daniel Ovadia had.
Daniel Obadia. No, no, no. They want so many, And it was very fun because when we opened our restaurants, there's like only like a few Mexican restaurants.
Right.
There's like a traditional Mexican restaurants, and right now it's hard to find like a French restaurant, like a Spanish restaurant, because Mexico City was all covered in French restaurants like 25 years ago, like Spanish restaurants, French restaurants, all other countries restaurants, and they never put like the Mexican food because it was very the people believe that the Mexican food it was only for houses. They never believed that you can make more
Yes.
elegant or more because the Mexican food in the traditional Mexican food, if you say it, it's impossible to make it look good, because it's very full of things. It's very Barockian stuff,
Yes.
so for the eyes of right now it's very hard to make it see like good in a picture, because they have a lot of ingredients and it's very hard to make a good picture of a mole,
Right.
so you need to make it very clear and you need to make it like very minimalistic, but isn't the real stuff, so
Yeah.
and probably 200 years ago or 300 years ago, the people who invented the mole was like, wow, so like a Ferran Adrià, the guys who invented this mole was like, wow, so because also the moles they don't have more than 300 or 400 years, they used to have like a kind of moles but not the mole that we know right now,
Yes. There's an indigenous mole that existed, and obviously there's many moles right now.
but the good thing is that the food is not static. Always it's evolution, so if the people understand that, uh, sometimes I believe that the people cares more about like the old things, because they believe that the oldest things are better than the new things, and I don't believe that, because these heavy sauces are made to cover like the bad product that they put into the table. So they need to make these, tough sauces and very spicy stuff, and very, to
Yeah.
cover, like the protein was like just something to chew, and the real flavor of the things was in the mole. So why you need like the pork, or why you need the chicken inside the mole, if
Yeah.
the mole are the whole dish, so
Right. It's the main. It's the main. It is the
it
dish.
is the dish. So Olvera starts making like put only mole in one dish. And that was unthinkable. Like, I don't know, 20 years ago, that you only put the sauce in a dish, and the people going to see you and say that, where's my chicken, where's my guajolote, or where's my pork?
Right.
So
And he started with not even a
yeah,
tortilla.
yeah, yeah.
There was no.
Mhm.
He had to add the tortilla.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if you understand the evolution of the food, so you can that you start to understand that you are doing things that you don't need to repeat it anymore, because now you have refrigerators, you can have a fresh fish from 1 hour ago. So
Yeah.
it's very easy to make, like to work on the ingredient instead of the things that you're going to cover the ingredient.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, again, we need people to come to your restaurant. It's such an important part of the story of modern Mexican cuisine, and it's still evolving. And you're still very active in the kitchen.
Yeah, yeah, of course, every day. I design everything. They don't do anything without me. So that's why I finish my tasting menu today. So I give all the work to all the people here in the restaurant, in the kitchen, in the salon, and the sommeliers to make the pairing. I will arrive Mexico on Friday. So we check the last things. I take the pairings and stuff like that, and then on Monday we start.
Yes. A wonderful restaurant always. Now, you know, over the years, again, I always look to your discussions on Twitter. I love your take on the chiles en nogada, a dish you hate.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of dishes that I hate, So, but I understand the context, But
Yes.
but
You
I
still serve it at Comedor Jacinta.
yeah. So I don't like it, but I don't believe that there's no culture in that kind of dish, So
Yeah, yeah. No, no, you're right. It's not, it's a personal preference. But, one of the, I mean, famous Twitter exchanges or social media exchanges was with you and an influencer in 2022 who asked for a free meal at your place,
yeah,
and you exposed her on social media, and it made news headlines and
yeah. But all over the world, it was very funny.
all over the world, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was at the 50 Best in London, and all my friends of all different countries, they knew that I been a mess with a girl in the social media stuff. So was I
Colombiana, right?
yes, I done that stuff, like, I don't know, 50 times, and I don't know why this one was like
Yeah.
explodes.
Yeah, it took off. So, what is your opinion on the problem of influencers for restaurants right now?
I don't believe in influencers. So if you need to be a influencer, you need to be a very good in something, you know,
Yeah.
and then you become a influencer. You can say, I want to be an influencer. So you first need to be like a very good football player, or a very good journalist, or a very good in the things that your thing are, and then you can start making recommendations of anything you want. So books, or movies, or because the people's gonna believe you because you are very good in football. That doesn't mean that you really know about books, but the people start following the things that you try to recommend, because they believe that you don't take part of that kind of recommendations. The new generations of young people, they want to become influencers just because they are a cute people and a cute girl, and then they don't even know anything about
Right.
food, and just because they have a lot of people who follow them because they want to look your boobs instead of the thing that you're gonna recommend. So they don't understand that the people who follow them, they are not following because the thing that they try to say.
Right.
They are following them because they want to see the pictures of the next thing that you're gonna show.
Right.
So that's why I'm always against the influencers of that kind of
That
influencers.
right. People that don't
So
have any expertise.
yeah, people that they only want to get it advance of like restaurants or clothes or anything that they can have for free just for recommend. And there's a lot of studies about people who has a lot of millions of followers that I remember a Spanish girl who has like a millions of followers, and then she has the balls to ask to Levi's to make a collection because she
Right.
has like a lot of followers. And Levi said, "Okay, so you design a T-shirt, and if you sell 1,000 T-shirts, I will make a collection with your under your name." She don't even sell more than 200 shirts.
Right.
So they believe that they are influencers, but in the end of the day, they don't influence anyone. you know
Yeah, they don't move the needle. They don't actually drive traffic. It's people are coming in to look at them, to interact with them, but they're not real consumers. They're not customers.
No, 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 no. They are not consumers. So that's why the influencers right now, they are going down and down and down and down. And there's
Yeah.
people that they don't understand. And I receive a lot of people who write me that if I want to make collabs with them, and right now I don't even I just block them. And but it's very funny. So I was always answer with a ha 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 ha, and then I blocked him, and that's all that I do right now. But it's very funny that, and also they don't understand. They believe that they are like how content creators. They said themselves as a creators. So, but they don't understand that the content, the context, how do you say? The content,
Content.
yeah, I made it because I made the food. I made the
Yeah.
concept. I made everything. They only repost my content. So they believe that they build these things that they show to the people, but no,
Right.
they
Right.
are they are only people who, how do you say, people who relates the things that I do at my restaurant, and
Right.
then they
They're
just
yes.
put it in
They're
their
not the creators. They're
no, 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 no.
merchants.
They are not the creators, but they believe that they are content creators. No, but
Right.
they only copy my content, and then they put in their own stuff. But the real contents are the people who create these things. They are only a
Right.
relators of the things that I do, but they don't do anything. They only
They're just a
record.
karaoke singer.
They are storytellers only. They are only
Yeah.
storytellers, and they don't realize about that, and they believe that they are making uh, content for something, but they don't even they don't even do anything. They don't even they don't even know even the real names, or even they don't even real know the all the background of the thing. And then when you say, it was
Right.
like, you know
Yeah. And as you mentioned with the woman and the Levi's, sometimes they don't even know their own audience. You know, they don't know what their audience wants. And obviously they didn't want a shirt from this person. Well, okay. So just, if you're going to go on social media, don't mess with Chef Edgar. He has hundreds of thousands of followers. He doesn't need you. You're the actual
Even if you have
content
more
creator, as
followers
you
than
said.
me.
So let's talk best in Ciudad de Mexico.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What's your favorite al pastor?
El Charco de las Ranas.
Okay, classic.
Hmm. And it's here,
Um,
200 meters from here.
okay, one close to you. Best guajolota.
Nico's probably. I tried once, was very good. Sometimes Gerardo do stuff like that.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. Best tecolota.
There's a guy in the street very close from here who made it.
What's the corner?
It's Paseos del Pedregal and San Jerónimo.
Okay. Unknown tecolota, torta de chilaquil, go there. What's your favorite cantina?
Oof. Probably La Guadalupana in Coyoacán.
That's a great one. I love it. Where is your go-to place for tacos de fritanga?
Fritangas. Cocuyos.
Classic.
Hmm.
Best tacos de canasta in Mexico.
There's also a guy in front of the mall called Perisur down in a bridge. They don't have a name, but it's very famous all over the city.
It's on Perisur.
Perisur, down the bridge.
Okay. In front of another landmark we can give people.
In front of Perisur.
Okay,
It's
in
like
front
big
of
mall.
Perisur.
Sí, 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 sí.
Okay, what is your favorite place to get tacos de la plancha?
Probably El Califa de León.
Okay, wonderful. And what about for antojitos? Where do you go for quesadillas and garnachas y gorditas?
Like the local market.
Which market? What's your favorite market for that?
I don't know the name in English, but how do you say like the Mercado sobre Ruedas? The ones that they put once in a week?
Oh, yeah. So like a flea market.
Yes.
And which flea market do you go to?
We have one here, not inside of Pedregal, but outside of Pedregal.
Okay.
So it's very close from here.
What day of the week is that?
Also the Coyoacán market. They have Coyoacán market. It's more like it's easier for the people who goes to Coyoacán market because it's every day. So there's a very good
so
tacos de
Mercado
lengua.
Coyoacán, and then there's a
The food market.
a tianguis sobre ruedas on which day of the week?
Tuesday.
Near Pedregal.
Yes, but it's very gonna be easier to Coyoacán. There has a good taco de lengua, very good.
Okay, last two. What are your? I know you're a big wine collector. So, what are your favorite bars? What are your three favorite bars in Ciudad de Mexico?
I don't drink a lot, but I collect wine. I'm more into the wine stuff more than in the cocktail stuff. But I can say that Handshake is one of my favorite. The one that Elena opened, Rosetta, and one of how do you call it, the Enrique Puyol, in the old Puyol, Ticuchi.
Yes, you like it. You like the bar there.
Yeah. Because I'm very into the music also, and for me the music sound system is very important for me also.
Yeah, he's very into vinyl, just like you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and I lied. It's not just one more. It's a couple more. What's your favorite pozole in Ciudad de Mexico?
My mom's pozole.
Okay, all right. I'll have to maybe call in advance sometime and try to get that one.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, sure.
Best tamales.
Depends on the. We have like different kind of tamales. I prefer the tamal oaxaqueño. That it's we're very thin.
Yes, banana leaf, very thin. Where do you go to get those?
We made it here at the restaurant for make a soup.
You have that on your a la carte menu.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a sopa de tamal, so I made the.
I saw that on your menu.
I made a tamal oaxaqueño.
Okay, so go to Sud 777 and on the a la carte menu and get the tamal oaxaqueño. And last one, lime on tacos, yes or no?
No, never. The lime only.
And tell us why.
The lime, the taste. It's very. it's like the sound, like sound system, the flavor when you make something this, this, how do you say,
Like a spike,
this is,
spike, a needle spike.
yeah, I don't like it. So for me, like the acid and the temperature makes a good or a bad dish in every dish you do. So I always try to fix the acid on things, and
Right.
in every dish you have, in a fish, in a meat, in a vegetable, everything. For me, the most powerful flavor, and try it in your home. Make a dish, use like a different kind of acids. You can use vinegar, you can use lime, lemon, anything you feels acid, even the pineapple, everything. So if you put like the perfect for your flavor, okay, if you put like
Right.
the perfect drops of the acid stuff, you can expose the flavor. And then if they don't have that acid, you can go down. And also, when you put a lot of lime or a lot of acid in a thing, and there's like Mexicans, they have like this bad stuff that they finish their own food when you put a dish on the table. There's no other country in the world, well, probably Asia or something like that, but there's no other country in the world that you put a dish and the customer asks for limes, salsa, salt, everything, and then
Right.
they finish the dish in front of you. So for me, it's very bad stuff because you try to make something and then they finish the dish with lime, salt, chile, and the core of the flavor of the things that you try to show, they are disappearing.
Right, because they're basically the saucier. They are taking that
They
position.
they finish the food for their own palate. You
Yes.
know,
And it can go so many ways, right? It can become not a great taco, not a great soup, or they can do it perfectly. Yeah, in Asia, in Vietnam, Thailand, many China. I mean, they are doing that too. You are finishing it with your own seasonings, your own herbs.
yeah. I always try like the salsas when I'm gonna put it in a taco because you can ruin your taco. So you need to taste it first, and then you can see how much spice do you want to try or
Right,
how acid they are, and then if you are going to put the sauce on them, you need to taste it first, and then you can see to or your own palate to finish the taco.
right. Yeah. Well, that's what wonderful. I've actually changed my opinion on lime because of you and another chef that also talked about this. And I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, yeah, the dish already has plenty of acid. There's acid in the salsa.
Mhm.
There's acid in pickled things.
Yeah.
So do I really want to put more acid? And I feel like in Mexican culture, it's such a reflex. We just grab lime and just go crazy.
The people doesn't stop on thinking the thing that they are doing. They just do it because they saw someone do it, and then
Yeah.
it's like a tumbleweed. So
You know what the craziest one is? Is watching someone squirt lime on ceviche.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yep, yep. Or in a fideo soup, or it's crazy.
Yes, so
The
don't
chile, it's acid. You
don't put
know.
it in your fideos. Don't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's very weird. Yeah.
Well, I agree, and I thank you, and I believe it was you that I heard it from first. That you said it on Twitter some years ago about lime. You had this whole long discussion about putting lime on tacos, and I thought about it, and I tried it, and ever since I can't really go back. I'm very careful about when, if I ever use lime anymore, and everyone thinks I'm crazy because I'm like, well, Chef Edgar is the one that told me. So blame him.
If you stop thinking, a lot of things that we do just for because you saw someone
Yes,
doing that, and you
habit.
didn't have your own opinion about that.
Yes, I agree. We should think before we finish our tacos. Chef Edgar, it's been a pleasure. It's an honor to have you on the podcast.
Thank you very much.
And we'll definitely have you here again, and I'll see you in Ciudad de Mexico.
Yes, please.
Thank you for tuning in to the Taqueando podcast this week. And be sure to tune in next week for another episode. And please leave us a rating or review wherever you listen to your podcasts.